I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this regular monthly January board meeting was given by publication on the annual meeting notice of the authority with amendments as necessary was sent to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, and sent to the City Clerk of Hoboken on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, Hoboken Library, and Hoboken Police Department, and posted on the authority website on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced the adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. So, the first person is...
Roll call.
Roll call.
Anthony Forbes. Andrew Impastato.
Here.
Aaron Lewitt. Here. Barbara Reyes.
Here.
Michael Russo.
Here.
James Sanford. Erica Seitzman.
Public notice, public speaker, Candice Wanamaker?
I'm Candice Wanamaker, 311 13th Street. I spoke last time in October. Same things are still going on since October, and there's been really very little, if any, improvement. I know I didn't have a very good reaction when I said the stairwells are filthy, but they are filthy. I have, like I said, no idea when's the last time they had a broom or a mop touch them. Mice and roaches, still. I've been taking care of myself, so I'm really working with the exterminator in between, so I'm getting rid of them. But still, there's some. We even have a little mouse that lives here. Comes through the kitchen. You actually see it when you're sitting here. Into the other kitchen and goes to the back. It's his territory. He should have been caught by now. No offense. The reason I'm really here tonight is everything I said last time still applies. But my apartment failed inspection in October, badly. I had a list of things that had to be done. They got into my kitchen one time for the week. Took up 4 floors. There were 4 layers of floors. What was under it was disgusting. I have pictures. It was mold, mildew, fungus, whatever happened from that big flood I had in my apartment was laying in there for years. It was actually eating into my old refrigerator on the bottom. It was full of rust. Had to get rid of that. I wouldn't even let them put it back in. The stuff they used, DEP or ZEP or something, was so strong to do the closets and stuff, I was sick. I had breathing problems. I had to open my doors, my windows. Half the time I was walking around the hallway. When they finished the floors, they measured my countertop, and that was back in October. Still don't have my countertop. But then again, I was supposed to get a new countertop when I moved in here 16, 17 years ago, and I have maintenance people that actually saw this when I moved in, so I have words from maintenance people. Somebody used the other one that was supposed to be for me, and then that person came in and looked at my apartment. He said, nah, I would have never passed this. He said, I'd take a few more days, but my apartment passes. Now, how many years later? My apartment still hasn't been done. And a countertop, where that's our problem with the roaches. If your countertops aren't sealed and underneath, that's how they come in. I have pretty much taken care of them, but they're still coming in from the back and underneath. I can't do a thing if they don't put the new countertop on and seal it. I don't think I'm asking for too much. I've been waiting for years. And I don't understand how come it takes so long when somebody takes care of the apartment the best they can, pays their rent on time, very seldom complains until like this past year when I just got fed up, I guess, and frustrated. I just don't think any tenant, not even just myself, should have to wait that long to have an apartment that they can live in decent. and feel comfortable, especially when you get older. Thank you.
Adrian Rollins?
Adrian Rollins, 560 Marshall Drive.
They heard.
The issues with the rats inside the buildings, you guys have to do something about that. I don't care if you bomb the basement. They has to have a different way to get rid of them. This is in the actual building on someone's floor. I'd have a heart attack if I had to come out and see that. The Resident Advisory Board and Tenants Association bylaws. I emailed HUD to find out if they had a copy of that for Hoboken, and apparently it's up to the Housing Authority to keep those records. And I was asked by a few Tenants Association reps to inquire to HUD, and I did, and they said that they don't keep records of that. The Housing Authority is supposed to keep records of that. So I don't know where those copies are, if they've been asked for, and they were told that they didn't have it. They need to be probably recreated. I have a document that they can work from that would assist them in establishing bylaws for the association and the RAD board. And it's not the bylaws that are posted on the Housing Authority website. It's separate from that. I'm drawing a blank. All right, I will send emails for anything else.
I would second that.
That's it. We only had 2 speakers sign up for public speaking. Director, do we have Resident Advisory Board?
Yes, we have some old bylaws, and the Resident Advisory Board is currently redoing their bylaws right now. We've actually got a draft that they'll be voting on in the next month or so. So we're almost done with the new ones.
Okay.
So we've been working on that with them for about 6 months now. So we're almost there.
And then my next question is, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a social media picture put up about a rat being at a resident's door. And the individual whose door it was on was a sick resident, diabetic, has a lot of health issues. And so basically someone from outside had to come and kill it so that she can leave her apartment. It was a huge rat. So what are we doing? And this happened in 560, so what are we doing to better that situation? I know we're doing a lot outside, but what are we doing inside?
Well, we're also baiting and trapping in all the basements. We've cleaned and disinfected every basement and every trash chute. We keep chasing them. If a resident sees one, please contact us. We'll be glad to come out and get it. But it's a fight that we're continuing to do. Last but not least, as some of you may know, we're restructuring our trash collection. So we're going to have recycling for everyone and closable, secure trash bins. So we've no longer got those trash bins up, which should help the rodent population. But on the inside, we continue to bait, we continue to go after them. So please, if you see them, please call us immediately. We'll be glad to send somebody out. But it's an ongoing fight.
Okay. Can the record show that Commissioner Forbes arrived?
Thank you.
I guess Director, it's your turn.
Thank you. I don't know everything about your situation, but the countertop is on order. I know that, and there's some supply issues, but the countertop has been ordered. It's on order. We're just waiting to receive it. Much other work has been done in that apartment already. Happy New Year. Glad to see everyone. It's going to be an exciting year. It'll be an exciting year. Looking forward to 2024. We had a fine holiday season here, and I want to thank everyone that was involved. Our holiday season was, I think, the best that we've had since I've been here. We held holiday celebrations at all of our senior disabled buildings. NCCG It was just a great, great time. This room was rocking, by the way, during the holiday celebration. No, I did not get worn out by dancing right in here. With some of you out in the audience, so it was great. My heartfelt thanks goes to all the residents, police, staff, nonprofit groups that work so hard to bring that holiday spirit to HHA. It means a lot. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to the residents to have that type of event going on. We are coming off a banner year in 2023. I started to write this and I thought I'd have maybe 10 things. Got 29, folks. Yeah, I mean, what a year. You know, first and foremost, on December 20th, Councilman, we had a unanimous passing of our redevelopment plan through the Hoboken City Council. All those years of work leading up to it, all the work that Councilman Russo did, that the rest of the councilmen did, that the people on this board did. If you remember our meetings in the field, our meetings at resident organizations, our meeting at community spaces, all of that strategic plan, all of that redevelopment had us in that room together with the same message, as opposed to other times when there may have been picketing in the streets and fighting in the hallway. It was a great, great event. And the recording of that event, of that vote, by the way, is on our website. So if anyone, get on that website and take a look. It's posted up there now, and you can see the vote from the beginning to the end, and it's inspiring. Councilman, I want to thank the council again for the kind things they had to say about the Housing Authority and how we're coordinating and working with the city and making life better for our residents. So I don't know if you want to say anything else. It was just great.
Yeah, I will most certainly bring that message back to my colleagues on the council, and just looking forward to bigger and better things this year, and hopefully the council and the city could continue to aid us in the process of our redevelopment.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got a lot of work cut out for us this year,
absolutely.
so we can't wait. We're already at it. So in that vein, we've got our obsolescence study done this year. We pre-qualified potential developer partners ready to receive RFPs. We retain the services of a nationally known firm specializing in PHA redevelopment on the legal side. We've got an engineering firm that will assist us in developing our capital improvement plan. We met with the New Jersey Housing Finance Agency. This year we achieved an occupancy rate of 95% in mid-year. Management, Frank, maintenance, Sammy's on the line, Jackie, you guys have done a tremendous job. This is major. It had been a couple of years since our elevator project reduced our occupancy. This is coming back out of that, and we've been improving every month since then. We'll see later, we have a 97% in public housing.
We're at 97 between both
And 98% at Fox Hill. That's huge. That's huge. So thank you. We developed and approved a new procurement policy. We got a $3.5 million grant for security and occupancy improvements at Harrison, and a $250,000 grant for security at Andrew Jackson due to Ms. Corinne Richmond's great writing ability and reaching out. Corinne, great job. We achieved a budget surplus for the second year. As many know, we have had a very low reserve level at the Hoboken Housing Authority, and we've been slowly building that up a little bit, which is really crucial for us. HUD would like to see us with a 4 to 6 month. We've got about a 2 to 3 month reserve in operating, so we're still not where we need to be, but it's important to have that in case Congress does something silly like not pass a budget next week, as many of you have read. If that happens, we've got to dip in. We'll also like our report later that HUD is telling us we're going to have an 87% operating funding this year. 87%. So what they're saying is you deserve $1 to run this place. We're going to give you 87 cents. That hurts. So it's going to be an interesting year. We've got, and I don't talk about this enough, we've got a very low insurance loss record. Our insurance folks continue to come to us on a regular basis and report to us and show us that statewide, we're one of the best, if not the best, housing authority in loss record. Very few workers' comp claims, very few trip and falls, things like that. So that's going to help us in future years on our insurance billing. Having said that, insurance is skyrocketing for everybody. That was something on a national level as well. But we have a very good performance, and that's because of our staff. They're taking care of details, they're taking care of the residents, they're making sure there aren't trip and falls, making sure we're being safe. We dedicated the Harrison Courtyard in memory of Arlette. We dedicated the Marshall Drive in memory of Kyella. We initiated the successful series of HHA Hall of Fame this year, which have been a great success. We came out of the COVID pandemic. Don't forget, it wasn't that long ago, right? Progress in parking enforcement. I think we're getting down the road on that. If you went around a year ago, there were cars parked on the yellow lines. There were cars parked everywhere. As of January 1st, everyone that's registered has a sticker as of January 1st. And we're proceeding with that to make sure people aren't parking where they're supposed to be. And we ask residents, if you find somebody that's parked that's not supposed to be there, please call us. We'll get them towed. We've towed a lot so far. We've placed our tenant account receivable protocol in place, entering repayment agreements with many, many families. We have brought our first tranche of cases to the courts. We've installed carbon monoxide detectors in all of our units, replaced our laundry room equipment in all of our laundry rooms, published a new resident handbook for residents. We received our first allocation of VASH vouchers this year to house 18 veterans in the future. Initiated monthly statements via mail for all residents this year. We continue to improve our relationship with HPD. We held successful residents events, including Truck or Treat, Winter Wonderland, numerous celebrations with our residents. Held an excellent Black History Month celebration this year. Second year of a successful summer basketball league. Installed and updated exterior lighting at all of our sites. Disinfected and painted all of our compactor rooms, and I should have said their basements, cellars areas. Stabilized the Fox Hill roof. Completed the phase 1 of Fox Hill renovations. New boilers, 655 6th Street, 501 Marshall, 540 Marshall, 320 Marshall is in process right now. So we had a busy year there. Began the replacement of the boiler system at Round Row Gardens. Began an interior hallway painting and refurbishing project. So we're making progress in getting those interior hallways painted. And last but not least, thank you for renewing my contract this year. So we had a busy year, and when you start to look back at all the things this staff has done, this professional staff has done for everyone, it's amazing.
I just have,
Yes.
Chairwoman, 2 questions. Are we still in our financial status? Are we still in
We're
troubled
still
status?
in troubled status, but not financially. The only thing left to get us out of total troubled status is to get a passing grade on our next physical inspection.
And how?
We don't know when that's going to be.
I thought that was supposed to be in 2023.
We're waiting.
So we're waiting for them to come in.
So yeah, they got, when they get ready, they contact me and they say in 30 days we'll be there.
Did we fail any in 2023?
They didn't have one in 23, they had one in 22.
So the last one we had in 22.
And we did terrible in 2022.
So we fixed all those things, we're just waiting for them to come back.
That's right.
And how do we get out of the trouble status?
By passing our, they've
We have to
changed.
pass that.
Yes, and they've changed systems again. They no longer do what's called a REAC inspection. They've gone over to what they call an Inspire inspection with a whole new grading system. So great news, right? So we got to retool. Our folks have been in training, getting ready for it. Our maintenance staff has been going through units, trying to get them ready. Our problems, particularly at Andrew Jackson and Harrison, are wide and they're deep. It's still going to be a tough inspection. And I'm not going to guarantee that we slam dunk it and knock it out of the park. But I do expect an improvement over last year. And we're talking about it with them quite a bit.
In 2023, did we do what we need to do so we don't get any findings on the audit, you think?
The only thing that's left on the audit is that those files that Frank and his team have been working on. And Frank, I don't know if you want to address that. We've had the training, the Nan McKay training.
Yep. And we had the training at the end of last year, and now we're going through all the files individually before the audit. So we're going to change all the files. Every one of the files are going to have a new facelift. So over the years, each AMP has a look to itself. All the files are going to look the same by the time the audit comes. No matter what office you go into, the folder will look the same. There'll be an exact order. That should help with some of those things and inconsistencies.
Now, what I'm going to say, I want to be clear on this, that our next audit will be at the end of September 2024.
Okay.
I expect us to pass that. I expect us to pass that with flying colors. Now,
I'm sorry, the files themselves, these are hard files we're talking about,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Do we have any intention of going to a digital file? And can we go to a digital file? Are there any
We started
restrictions?
the process of, so we're living in both worlds now.
Okay.
So now the process is as we're.
Frank, I'm just having a hard time hearing you. This is the court reporter.
Sorry. Sorry, Terry. Is this put on? So yeah, so through the process of PHA Web, we started so that we can have it on the more importantly, so that we could see it
Right.
on the software, and we've already started the process. As we're going through, what we're gonna wind up, are still gonna have a hard file, but then we're gonna have the matching copy of that hard file on the software. God forbid something happens to our hard files.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
To the,
More importantly, vice versa, people don't expect that.
to the web.
Yes.
Do we have a timeline as to making sure that everything is digital, or is it just kind of as we're going?
The
we're
digital is as we've been going, but the biggest push for that happened when we did the software conversion.
Right.
We got the bulk of it, and now it's more of a, let's keep it
As we're doing it?
fresh.
Okay,
As we're going.
yeah, that's fine. Like I said, I just wanted to know.
Thank you. And the other thing I was on my way to mentioning was you are soon going to have the fiscal year ending 2023 audit in front of you to do a final approval. That is probably going to have that audit finding on it. It's next year's audit that we're going to be clear on that particular finding.
Okay.
Because he's got the staff working on it.
Teresa, can the record show that Commissioner Sanford arrived?
I got it, thank you.
So,
Yeah, that's the only reason
no, I get it.
your comment about being a banner year was,
Yeah. Well,
I think a banner year, I'm a little, a banner year is like, win the championship, right? You put up a banner, that means no audit findings, that means we're out of financial hardship status.
we are out of financial.
But I do salute everything that was done. I hate to be like a negative, but I wouldn't call it a banner year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to mention that coming soon will be the dedication of the 400 community room to Annie Forbes as well. But that'll be in next year's achievements. So 2024 is going to be a challenge. We've got a lot coming 2024. Of course, we've got the redevelopment. That's going to take a lot of our time and effort. That's going to be a real focus. But we also have that process of reducing tenant accounts receivables. I was very recently at a training. It is a national issue. It took up a lot of time from the presenters on a national housing authority basis. There's $640-some million nationally in tenants accounts receivables. It's huge. Housing authorities are dealing with this across the country. And I think we're ahead of a lot of them in our discussions. We've had the protocol. We've given people a chance to come in, do repayment agreements with us. We've taken folks that just won't. We're starting that court process now. But it is a process. And what everyone understands there is that it is a process. I think HUD understands that. That this is going to be a process that's going to take a couple years for us all to dig out of. The pandemic left a lot of people not paying rent. And now they've got to come back, and we've got to get that. We've got to get those dollars. It's going to take some time, and we want to do it equitably with a heart. We don't want people displaced because of this. But at the same time, If you're paying 30% of your income, you gotta pay your rent. So that's going to be big this year. We've got a new HUD regulations coming out on resident rent calculations and resident admissions continued occupancy called HOTMA, Housing Authority through the Modernization Act. It's going to be huge. All of our staff is going to have to be trained. We're going to have to reconfigure our software from the top to the bottom. It's going to be quite an effort. And again, this is a national issue. HUD has not published all the regulations on that yet. We have done a presentation in anticipation of that to our resident organizations. But this is going to be huge as the year goes on. We're going to have to educate residents, our staffs. It's going to be a new way that we calculate rent, new things that are deducted, some things that aren't deducted, et cetera, et cetera. We expect that to be fully implemented no later than the 1st of January 2025. But housing authorities across the country are going to be implementing it at different times over the course of the year, probably starting in about July. Our major barrier right now is that HUD hasn't published all of their forms for this. And our software companies, not just ours, can't finalize their software changes until HUD does their final software changes. So HUD is redoing their systems, including their tenant information systems, which used to be PIC and are now going to be HIP. Oh boy. So we've got a lot of work to do on that this year. It's going to be a challenging year. We've got to institute the new Buy America, Build American regulations into all of our contracts and purchasing by August of 2024. These are very strict guidelines as they're written right now, that everything we buy has to either be manufactured, assembled in America. And anything that's not needs a waiver. And it better be a good reason for a waiver. And we, as the purchaser, are going to be responsible for tracking this down. We can't just write a contract and say the contractor is responsible for making sure that roofing material was manufactured in America. They're going to have to provide, and it's our responsibility to make sure that we can track that back to American manufacturing. So it's going to be interesting. Again, we need to improve our inspections scores while integrating HUD's new Inspire inspection protocol, which is what we talked about with Andrew. And all of the above, while we must cut our budgets based upon an 87% funding level. So we've got our work cut out for us this year.
What's the plan for that?
Well, we haven't got notification on the final numbers yet. We just found out last week, or this week, that it was going to be 87%. So two things. One is tighten our belts. Two, we may have to go into our reserves a little bit by the end of the year, once we do those projections. Three, sit down with Emil, our fee accountant, and start taking a look at our budget items that you would pass for this coming year, and say, where can we tighten our belts and what
can we have a financial am I the chair? Who's the chair of that?
I don't have that in front of me.
Can we have a subcommittee to go over that, see how we can help?
Of course we will.
Yeah.
We just found out this time.
Sooner rather than later.
Because we may have to come to you after the dust settles and we find out where we are. We may have to come to you for a budget revision.
Yeah,
at that point.
If we can do that.
Yeah, we will.
Like next week, cool.
Next week might be a little early. We better run numbers first.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to, take some time
and
to
see what's
figure out
there.
ways and present it to us. Where we can.
That's right.
But some of the things we added to this year's budget, we might not be able to do.
We'll have to take a look.
Okay.
Real quick, in the world that I live in, running a homeless shelter, inspection scores are extremely important in my world.
Yes.
If the fire inspector comes in, we get a low score, that's a humongous problem.
Yes.
Food inspector comes in, we get a low score, humongous problem. Health inspector comes in, we get a low score, humongous problem.
Sure.
So how do you intend to really increase those scores so we don't fall
So
Below belt.
we are subject to all those inspections too, by the way. So we do work with all of those entities as well. What happens with our last year's REAC inspections, what they're changing to Inspire this year, is one, we've trained our staff, trained our maintenance staff on the new system. So we hope we know what the inspectors are going to look at, depending a little bit on what inspector you get, right? So we've taken our information from the last inspection, and we've gone in and started, and more than started, we've been doing it for a year now, and hitting those items with the highest point scores. Some things have a score of 5 points off out of 100. Some things have a tenth of a point off for 100. So which one do you do first? The 5 points, right? Well, of course, first do health and safety, always. Anything they identify as health and safety. And then you start going to what's the highest score, what's the next score, what's the next score, what's the next score. So that's how we're approaching it. And going through all of our buildings, going through all of our common areas, and going through the apartments, going to this item, that item, the next item, focusing on the highest point score items.
But which area was the most hot? The hot items, hot areas?
We had a very hot area on sprinkler heads, and those are now repaired. We had a very hot area on interior doors, and we had a contract that replaced 300 some doors this year on the interior of our apartments. So we had a hot area on exterior erosion, tripping, sidewalks, like that. So we've approached those already this year. This last summer, we had all of those repaired, as much as we can, because you know Hoboken, it moves. So those are some of our hottest items that we've had. Yeah, takes a lot, because our problems again are so wide and they're deep. If you go into a basement area and you've got a fuse box, and that fuse box doesn't latch completely, it's like 10 points out of 100.
I know.
If you got one little light, right, you get those points off as you go, right? So we've got to be very, I love that word, persnickety, right? If you've got one little junction box up there that's open, that's 5 points off. So, and as you can imagine, we have thousands, right? So we train our guys to go through, keep their eyes open, make sure you don't just pass it up, that type of thing. So, it's a team effort. It really
Sure
is. So yeah, it's going to be a good year. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good year. Executive staff continues to work closely with HPD. We have been communicating regularly with our security guard services, and I think we found some improvement. However, we have decided to rebid that when the bid comes up in a couple months, so we're going to be seeing that rebid, so we can take new bids on that. Not to say we may not in the end, with your input, choose the same security guard service, because they have made improvements, we've broken them in, but if somebody better comes in, we're open to that. Hoboken Housing Forward, as noted above, the redevelopment plan was approved by the city. Harold Fitzpatrick and staff will be meeting with our development attorney for the first real introductory meeting to start hashing out our RFP process for developers. Our first meeting is on January 24th. Our contract with our consultant for future capital needs that you had passed, I believe, last month is finalized. We're having our first planning meeting with them in the near future. I am developing a timeline for our next steps that I'll be able to share with you at our next meeting. I have a detailed timeline over the next 6 months and next year. So you get a little foggier as years go on. But I'm preparing that timeline now. We continue to meet regularly with our enterprise partners, Harold Fitzpatrick, staff, and HUD on a regular basis. And we are beginning our work on projecting our management needs. You're going to see us coming to you with a new total Section 8 administrative plan and our public housing admissions and continued occupancy policy changes, and a change to our 5-year and annual plans in anticipation of redevelopment. We are preparing, I should say, in your packet, when I wrote this, I don't know, in your packet, you've got the new newsletter. hot off the presses in your packet. I continue to meet with residents on a personal basis through our intake appointment system. Housing for Hoboken will meet on January 23rd. Special projects, main entrance gate replacement at the courtyard at Harrison is under design. We will have this bid over the winter to be ready for spring work. Security camera installation on each floor and rooftop at Harrison is before you tonight, and unfortunately we're going to be recommending rejection of that because of bidding discrepancies, and our attorney can address that when the time comes. Same with our hallway and stairwell refurbishment. We have some issues there. We intended to pass those tonight, but they didn't pass legal muster. We have defensible space under design for behind our buildings from 208 to 400 Marshall. The emergency generator work is in process. I am happy to say that we did get actual confirmation that 2 of the 3 generators are on a boat somewhere in the Atlantic heading our way. So at least those are on our way after the supply chain issues. The replacement of boilers at our locations is in very, very final punch list status. The work on Monroe Boiler has begun. We are developing a scope of work for the repaving of the Monroe Gardens parking lot, and we are developing a scope of work for the sidewalk and repair to remediate that ponding in front of 560 Marshall.
655.
Okay, thank you. We'll do 655 too. Parking registration initiative continues. We thank everyone that has registered their vehicles. We ask any resident that knows of an illegally parked vehicle to report that location. We will look into getting it towed. In addition, we do hope to bring on a part-time individual that will start walking our areas in the evenings to find illegally and abandoned cars. Currently, any vehicle that is parked in the no parking zones of the yellow lines is subject to being towed. Any vehicle that has no sticker or is abandoned is subject to immediate towing. Any vehicle without a sticker parked in our lots is subject to tow, and only the appropriate resident's vehicle may be parked in a reserved spot. Our current occupancy rate is 97%. Congratulations.
Not functions at 98, but 96. 97 is our average for it as a whole.
As a whole, excellent, excellent work. We continue to work on our TARs, on our account aging report. As I mentioned earlier, that is a process, going to take us a while. On housing choice vouchers, we do expect to have an amendment to our admin plan before you next month. That amendment is going to clear the way for us to advertise for project-based vouchers. So we need a small amendment that will come to you next month, and then we should have that RFP out shortly after that for project-based vouchers. We did get the VASH vouchers. We are having regular meetings with the director of the Statewide Veterans Association, who is helping us along with that RFP, and we're taking his input on what needs to be done, because anything that's done with VASH vouchers needs very specific social services to go along with it, and he's the pro on that, so we'll make sure we do this right. Maintenance continues to be run well by Jackie and Sammy. We are doing a special door painting project at Adams and Monroe. Monroe Gardens is complete. We're accepting applications for maintenance workers. Please call in any maintenance problem you may have, and or call me directly if you think you're not getting the service that you deserve. We continue to work on special emergency and preventative repairs. On my attachments, I've got our maintenance plumbing projects for last month, maintenance unit repair special projects for last month, and our extermination report for last month. Finance is working on our HMFA billing for project closeout. We are complete. We just have some paperwork that we're waiting for HMFA to comment on. We're going toward the year-end closeout for last year's audit. Our housing choice voucher budgets for project-based vouchers and VASH vouchers and contract management and publication of RFPs and RFQs officially come out of our finance department. Mr. Perez couldn't be with us tonight, but I did include his snapshot report on his holiday events and activities, which I mentioned earlier. And he does note in here that we've got a little quiet time before our Valentine's lunches and when our food pantry distributions are. So we'll read that, but we're doing well on that. So is there any questions so far on the report? Because I have one more thing.
Director, the full-time mechanic, is that a fleet mechanic or is that, what's that position that we're looking for?
We're looking for talented mechanics. We prefer plumbing experience.
Okay.
We need plumbers, as many of you know out there. Plumbing, and plumbing, right? Plumbing leaks, plumbing supplies.
HVAC or?
We don't do HVAC because we have no HVAC.
Right.
If somebody walks into our door that's talented and they've got a black seal for boilers, for example,
Right.
we're looking for talent. We've got a lot of folks that are pretty good at picking up trash and doing basics, but if we've got a guy that walks in our door that's a good talented carpenter, we'll use him.
Okay.
All right? We'll use them.
Yeah, I'll reach out to some of my connections through the county unions and stuff
Please
like that,
do.
see if there's anybody who's looking for something.
We're always looking for
Yeah.
people out there.
Great, thanks.
So I have, any other questions so far? I've got one more announcement to make.
I do have a question after your announcement.
Okay, no, I want to get through with the report before I make our announcement.
Okay. So on page 3, under the housing, Hoboken Housing Forward update, number 1, as noted above.
Can you just speak into the microphone, please? This is the court.
Under Hoboken Housing Forward update, number 1 on page 3, as noted above, the redevelopment plan was approved unanimously at the December 20th City Council meeting. I encourage everyone to view the City Council meeting of that date, to view comments by council members, Commissioner Reyes and myself, speaking of the director. Our portion starts at 3:40 into the meeting. In addition, we have posted the council vote on our website. My question is, are you aware of the letter of recommendation I sent to the City Council urging the City Council not to approve the redevelopment plan?
Yes.
Why is that not included in your report?
Because I included the council's vote. The council voted unanimously.
You included that there was your comments from Commissioner Reyes and your comments.
Yes.
What about my comments?
I wasn't supplied directly with those. I don't think you sent me those. And I think the council mentioned that they had received something from you. That's as far as I went. If you watch that, you will see that they mentioned those.
Okay. I will provide you with my comments.
Okay.
I would love to, why don't we also include all the comments from the city council people in response to Commissioner's letter?
Yeah.
Because it was
Yeah.
pretty astounding
It was.
against.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have that added to the record as well.
I would love to have that added to the record as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we move on, please?
Yeah, maybe you could add that. Okay. Anything else on my report so far? Okay.
Before, it's in reference to your report.
Yes.
You guys know my frustration with the parking, and I know
Yes.
that last night, very late, you did send a response about the vehicles. I do want to say that overall, I do see the towing company come through. I have seen them towing. I think the problem isn't as big in Harrison Gardens because they have a gate. So if you don't have a card, you can't get into the gate. You can't park in the lot. Now, where I live, unfortunately, there's nothing stopping individuals from going back there and parking. And I know I sent a video where an individual parked a vehicle there, got into another vehicle that was there, left the other vehicle there, and left. And the vehicle's been sitting there for now 3 days, and it doesn't have a sticker. We have 2 other vehicles across from that also don't have stickers, that are just abandoned there. And I actually mentioned this at our at the directors meeting and 400 when we had the meeting. So again, my concern and I guess my frustration is that you know, it was such a big deal to make sure, I know we made some errors, we didn't tell them that if they had an old sticker, they still had to come in and get a new sticker. But I think now we should be over that, and I think that we definitely need to do something about those vehicles and individuals. We have new people coming in and moving in, and their friends or whomever are there are also parking there. So again, the problem is not the Harrison Garden because they have the gates and they can't get in, but all the other Andrew Jackson sites, I think that that's where you see more of the issue of non-residents parking in the spots. And to be honest, I see it a lot because of the light rail. Parking there, jump on the light rail. I know we've had those issues also.
I think we did look into those cars last night. Was there a reason they
Yeah,
weren't towed?
the tow truck did come over and he did have a sticker. The van has a sticker.
The van,
I don't have
okay.
the picture. So, and then what happened was she just registered. That's why you may have seen it, that it didn't.
Because I have a picture where it didn't have the
Correct.
sticker.
It's possible.
So then what's the reason for the other two vehicles
The other
that don't
two, one
have
is a reserve
stickers?
spot, the very first one, it's a handicap reserve. The second one we will do tomorrow.
Frank, if you could come to the mic, Frank?
But we'll keep working on it, is the point.
No, it's a reserved, and you're absolutely right, and I'm not against it. The problem is that that individual no longer lives in that amp, lives on the other side of it.
Correct.
Which they also have a vehicle down there, so that means they have two spots.
Not with us. They only have one reserve spot with us. We only can give them one spot. So if they have a spot maybe with the city, it's possible that they
It's
got.
not the same.
It's our
I've seen the
spot.
vehicle, I've seen the person's vehicle in the back of 560 and 655. And I'm not trying to be confrontational, I'm
right,
just saying, I'm seeing what everybody else down there is seeing.
So
So
last
this is
night,
why I'm saying, I know what you're saying, but I've said in the past, and I've sent pictures,
Yes.
where I go back, I go outside and I take pictures, they don't have the proper stickers. They don't have it. And you have, where I live, it's about 12 spots, you have 9 people on a night with no stickers, is that fair to the residents that live there?
Of
It's
course not.
It's
And
frustrating.
please continue to call us if you see that, because if our tow truck goes out and they don't have a sticker, they will tow them.
So the white Mazda had a sticker, because I know it didn't. There was a white Mazda there
No.
last night in the picture that I sent.
so the car that they went for was the van, is what I thought that they were going there for, right?
No,
So they went
I
for
sent
the,
several, there were several.
and then the other two, they weren't moving. So the one van, she just happened to register. She had to have the title changed to her name, and that's why she had been without a sticker for so long, because we wouldn't give her a sticker until she changed the title. So she finally just came to the office the day before yesterday. That's why it wasn't even in the system yet, and that's why I called the tow truck. But I said in the group text to the tow truck, please make sure that there's no sticker before you tow it. Sure enough, when he got there, he sends me the picture. He goes, there is a sticker. I said, it's not in the system, but I understood why it wasn't in the system, because they had just registered the day before. It has not yet gotten in yet.
So
that's
that vehicle that you're talking about?
The
is
van.
That van?
Yes.
So that van
Yes.
is the same van that had a white Mazda parked there as well. So do they have two stickers?
No, they shouldn't. So if there's
Because
another
that's the
car.
video I sent, they jumped out.
Now,
that
I
vehicle
did look
and
at the
got into
cameras.
vehicle.
I did look at the cameras, and it's two separate people moving those two separate cars. They do know each other, and they go into the cars, and that's why I asked the other question I asked you, right? Which I don't think it's appropriate for here. But we are looking into what is happening there, because something is unusual, right? Whatever that is. But what I continue to say, and what we said to the tow truck company last night, we are past the point. If they don't have the little sticker, they're welcome to take it. They're welcome to take the car. Obviously,
So
reserve
they-
cars, reserve spots. I would never want to tow someone in a reserve spot because they have a reserve spot because they're handicapped. If you can't move for 2 months that car because you're in a reserve spot, I think those we should leave alone. But anybody else that doesn't move, like the car next to it, that's going tomorrow.
So the follow-up question that I had was, so the tow company has the ability to pull up on site, take the car if there's no sticker, and move it?
We can't by law, by New Jersey law.
Yeah.
So someone has to call me
Yeah.
to tell me, and I
Okay.
have to call the
So
company,
that's
and
why I
then
was
they have the
asking
green
about
light.
Right.
By
Understood.
state
And I
law.
hope they're not doing that.
No, they can't, by state
That
law.
was passed like, I think like 5.
Yeah, that's a while. That's why I asked.
So maybe the bigger conversation for the future, now that we've officially finished we have a little bit under 300 registered vehicles. We have 500 spots, right? That tells me two stories. There are people that didn't come to register for whatever reason, whether it's financial reasons with the rent, but why don't we just move ahead and say we can give reserved spots to all the people who did the right thing and registered, and then that would make all the people that got a sticker and did the right thing have their spot, and they can call the tow truck on themselves. This is a bigger question. It would eliminate. We would open up visitor spots. It would make it easier for every. It works in the senior buildings here. If every person that registered their car, they would have a spot, and then guess what? You could go to the store without worrying.
How many people that didn't, register?
Well, it's tough to know.
Owe money.
No, it's tough to know who has cars that didn't register that owe money. I don't know if they have a car because they didn't come to register.
But don't you know, like, based on their license plate?
I don't have a license plate if you didn't register the car.
Yeah. But in the past, they
didn't register the car either. So that's what I'm saying. So like, but now that we have a good solid 300 families that stepped forward, did the right thing, changed titles, paid any money that they owed, they entered into repayment agreements. Hey, let's work towards it. And I think that would be a good solution. The director's been talking about this. We've been talking about it with maintenance, and it's an opportunity to. It's not. I think that is the biggest game changer to a household if they can leave to go to the store and come back and their spot is there. It's more than just having everybody register. But we're working towards that. But in the meantime, I do understand your frustration, and I'm sorry that you go through it. But the only way, like Andrew said, is if I don't get that call from you, I can't send the tow truck.
I just,
So,
I
and then
get what
that's
you're
tough.
saying, but honestly, like 10, 11 o'clock
Right.
at night, of course I'm frustrated, right?
Yeah.
But 10, 11 o'clock, like who really wants to call the director to say, can you get this car sold? Because
Yeah.
honestly, he would get a call every night from every resident in the housing authority.
And Barbara,
who actually registered it.
I get a lot of calls.
It's
And it's rough.
Yeah.
But that's what the director put in his remarks, that we are looking to get somebody that can be our eyes on the ground, early and late at night, a couple hours a day, and then just kind of walk in, because we know the times that we need to, like you said, it's late at night, when we're not here, and that would improve it. So by the time we get to whatever decision we make next, we can still improve, and we will continue to improve it with what we have before we even change it. So just keep calling me, like the director said. I don't want to get that call, but if you send it to me, I will get it to the tow truck, and we will take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, getting back to Hoboken Housing, you said there's going to be a meeting on the 24th?
Yes.
Who will be taking minutes of that meeting?
We normally haven't taken minutes of that meeting.
Can you take minutes of
Well,
that?
yeah, and the attorney does publish them. I'm sorry, the attorney does publish the meetings, I'm sorry.
And
I don't do those.
after the meeting, if I were to request them on the 24th or the 25th, I can expect to get them within a week?
Well, as soon as he's done, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as he usually sends it to us prior to our next meeting.
Yeah, as soon as he's finished.
So maybe as soon as we get it, we
Yeah.
can forward it.
Is that going to be you, Matt, as the attorney? Or Harold?
No, it's his brother, it's Kevin,
Kevin.
Kevin Patrick, so,
So that's usually the Housing for Hoboken meeting.
that's right, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so any meeting of Housing for Hoboken is prepared.
Yeah.
Usually they're prepared, but they're not approved until the next meeting.
Right,
So they won't become official until
that's right.
they're approved at the following
following
meeting, similar to what you do here.
Exactly.
Is he older or younger than you?
He's older.
Does he look younger than you?
Oh, God.
But you're better looking, right?
I can't. Look at
tell him
that.
you're the handsome
You
one,
guys
that's
are
all.
making Matt red. Can we continue, guys?
So,
We love you, man.
under item 5 of still the same section, you continually to regularly meet with Enterprise Partners, Harold Fitzpatrick, HHA staff, and HUD, represented by Mr. Wilson Henry. So, Mr. Wilson Henry is the HUD representative. Is he still aware that I'm trying to reach out to him?
I have no idea.
Okay, is he aware of my comments to the city council recommending that this housing redevelopment plan should not be approved?
Probably not.
Okay, when I give you my comments, will you give them to the HUD
If
representative?
you requested me, I would, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Can we move forward? Thank you.
So I have one more thing on our report. Please hurry, get up here. Today, and we love her, Ms. Corinne handed in her resignation. We wish her the best. We love her, we respect her. I told her that I would have never gotten to my seat unless you take some opportunities that come your way. She's a wonderful, intelligent, capable person, and she will go far.
Can we keep her on as a
Don't accept it.
She will always be part of our family, always. So this will be her last board meeting. And I thought it was appropriate.
Corinne, that's bittersweet.
I had to go for a walk after that.
Wow, she starts the newsletter, then moves on.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, all of that. That's
Starts the
about it.
newsletter.
Starts the newsletter, Hall of
It
Fame.
just bounces on us.
That's
Got
it.
nearly $4 million in grant money for us.
4
to
million.
improve
4
the
million.
website.
Wow, good for her.
She's been with us about 2 years, so we wish her the best.
Absolutely. She's
And
sharp
we,
cookie.
number one, we promised that we would be in touch. And number two, I get to see the baby real quickly after.
Nice.
So, for the record, thank you, Corinne, for all you've
Well,
done.
thank you, Mr. Arkin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Corinne.
Appreciate you, sister.
Thank you,
Thank you
Corinne.
very much.
I'm gonna miss you guys.
We'll miss you
We're gonna miss
too.
you too. Is that all there?
That is the end of my report.
Does anyone have questions, concerns? No? Can we move forward? Okay, so resolution number 2024-101, resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to approve the meeting minutes for December 14, 2023 regular board meeting.
Motion.
Second. Director? Questions, concerns?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanford?
So the very last item, Resolution 2023-12.16, the resolution to censure Commissioner James Sanford. I make a motion to strike this from the record. And because the discussion was not over. You called the vote, and I still had not had an opportunity to defend myself.
Okay, what I'd like to say, I'm not gonna go in the back and forth. There's a motion on the floor, would someone like to second it? No, thank you. Director, can we move forward?
So we've got, do we have a vote?
Yeah.
We need a vote.
We have.
Anthony Forbes.
Yes.
Anthony Forbes, Andrew Pastano.
Yes.
Aaron Lewitt. Yes. Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Yes.
James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes. Resolution number 2024-102, resolution authorizing the payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority.
Motion.
Second. Okay, questions, concerns? Before, it's not about this, but it falls under this. I know, Andrew, you asked about the fiscal committee. Actually, the chairperson for that committee is Commissioner Sanford, but he chose not to be part of any committee, so I believe that's, you're next on that.
Oh, cool. Who else is on that?
It's you, Michael Russo, and, I'm sorry, I just put it up. I brought it up. I forgot already. Okay, so Finance Committee, it's actually Commissioner Andrew, Commissioner Lewitt, and Councilman Russo would be the alternate, but because
Okay.
Commissioner Sanford.
All right, great. So we, Director, we'll get that going
Yeah.
when you're ready.
Sounds good.
If there's anything else, can we?
So yes, I have questions.
Sure.
On page 1, monthly contractual expenses, item number 5, Fitzpatrick and Waterman. Services rendered as general legal counsel, special legal counsel, tenant issues, NJHMFA grant, and RAD November and December 2023, $18,937.50, and there's an asterisk there. Matt, would you be able to explain what is an asterisk there?
I think that would be more appropriately directed towards the director.
Okay.
I could address that. This is Amal. The reason why the asterisk is there is because the asterisk is defined on the 3rd page, and that line item was an addition. The initial board packet with the monthly list of bills was distributed last Friday on the 5th, This bill was submitted late, and so I asterisked that to identify that there was a change.
Okay. So I'm going to direct this question to council. There are 4 different items here: general legal counsel, special legal counsel, the NJHMFA grant, and then RAD. How is that broken out in terms of the almost $19,000 that were spent? Can you itemize that?
I don't have it directly in front of me. An itemized bill with detailed hours is sent to the authority every month. Emil might have that in front of him. I certainly could.
I have that.
A little bit more time.
The general legal counsel bill was $14,887.50. The tenancy matters were $562.50. The NJHMFA matters were $37.50, and the RAD matters were $3,450.
Okay.
And I'll just point out that that's over a 2-month period.
Thank you.
So,
Sorry, no, can I?
Yeah.
There was also, is your dad on the?
No.
Oh. He was gonna break out line items specific to services rendered in relationship to work being done in matters related to Commissioner Sanford. Did he do that?
I know that there was a request made. I honestly don't know the status of that. I'd have to look into it and get back to you.
All right, thank you.
well, to dovetail on that, I would like to make a motion that from going forward, that all of council's billing be broken out, line item by line item.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Would anybody like to second it?
Could I ask a question, if you don't mind? Do you mean for our monthly list of bills, or just as Emil kind of pointed out, the access to that so that it would be reported? Do you want it in the actual packet, or do you just, is it okay for Emil to just tell us what that breakout is?
Well, if it's not going to be in the actual packet, I would like that information transmitted to all commissioners before we have to vote.
Yeah, and are you requesting that of all of our line items, so like? all
No,
the
just legal
professional-
services.
Just legal, so no other professional services?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, just wanted to understand.
I did ask our council to break out the work being done in relationship to different subject matters. So I think it is something productive to show, and this is nothing again, I don't think you guys would even mind, yeah.
No, and we do provide detailed entries with, like, by
Yeah,
a quarter
yeah,
of an
course.
hour.
Right,
every
and if
month,
it's not
broken
hard for
down by
Emil to do,
matters.
It's got to really forward it to us, really.
yeah, I think it's
No,
something
no, but
smart.
that is provided on the invoice breakdown. It's provided by those 4 categories. And every single line item has a detailed breakdown out of the specific days and what council has worked on. I have not in the past broken it down on the list of bills, just so as not to convolute it. So I don't know if the request is there, whether or not that needs to be done, or if you just want a copy. I could very easily forward you a copy of their latest invoice or any others.
Well, to that point, like, just for example, the time that you guys spent with the matter with Commissioner Sanford and trying to find out, with people sending you guys email correspondence and going back and forth and doing research to see if the legality of it, that would be in that, right?
Right, so that would fall under the general matter for our billing, but there would be a detailed entry for each one of those.
Okay, yeah, so if we could see that detail, is it okay if we ask for that detail?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
I want that detail.
Yeah.
I want
we do too. We'd love to
Can we
see
speak one at a time, guys?
We'd love to see how much money is being spent
So,
on ridiculous matters.
So council, do you know of that 14,000 that was mentioned for general services, if that was the right number, but of the amount that's being billed, how much of that is related to the matter that was discussed for the censure that occurred?
I don't have that in front of me right now. I'd have to get that for you, Commissioner.
So I would like to take that portion of the billing out of your legal services, because I'm going to dispute that.
Okay, so yeah, that's a motion, right?
I mean, I'll leave that to
Well,
the board.
the first motion is that going forward, itemized billing.
I don't think that.
I don't think that's necessary, but there's a motion on the floor, so would anyone like to second it? I'm sorry?
Andrew, would you like the second?
No. I think,
But you said you wanted itemized.
no. Director, will your staff be sending out an itemized list of activities that our council does?
I will be glad if requested to send out that list.
I think,
We're good.
can I just say
That's
something?
fine.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
I
we're done
just
with
want
it.
to say that I don't think anyone has an issue when documentation is requested and it's kind of, I guess we're respectful of the time that we're asking that and how long it may take the director and his staff to actually get it to us. I think as long as we know that it's gonna take time and we're not gonna get it, we ask for it today and we're not gonna get it an hour later, I think the director has always been very receptive to getting us the
For an
information.
example, I requested how much money is being spent by each commissioner to attend different conferences, and the director, in a timely fashion, was more than appropriate in getting that information, and he includes it in it's on here. So that's exactly the same example as for what we're requesting here, so I don't think that that's an issue.
And I'll be glad to
Okay, so can we just move forward? I just kind of want to move along. So
No, wait,
there's a
excuse me.
motion on the floor.
Excuse me?
There's a first motion on the floor, which you asked for, Commissioner Sanford, for an itemized monthly list of bills. Is there a second on the floor? There is not, so the motion fails. You asked for another motion.
Well,
Commissioner
so
Sanford?
I'm going to speak to your comments about the timeliness of information being given to the commissioners. There was a great deal of information that I have asked from the director, his staff, and from council, which I have been denied, and I am getting the runaround.
Well,
So
I think-
it's great that everybody else seems to be getting
Well,
first-rate treatment and getting that information very quickly, but this commissioner is not getting
Okay,
information
I
quickly
apologize
or in
if
a
that's how
timely
you
manner.
feel. I'm
It's not how I
here.
feel. It is
I'm
the
not here
experience.
to go back and forth with you. I think we've addressed this month after month. I think it's absolute nonsense. You obviously know what you need to do. There are laws in place. If you're not getting it the way you feel that you're getting it, Oprah it. You have 30 days to get it.
Madam
It's just, it's
Madam Chair, I have
just,
another question for council.
But I also
No matter of-
I also need to rebut that, I'm sorry. I must, because we asked Commissioner Sanford 2 months ago to give me an itemized list of what he wanted from me. I never received that.
Thank you.
He has emailed my staff. I've told him very clearly that you should email me for information. You will not. So for you to say that you have requested information from me and I have not given it to you is completely untrue.
Thank you.
All you need to do is email me and I will look into getting that.
So, Director, what I'm going to
I have to
ask,
answer what the director just said.
Can I
excuse
just ask that we
me,
vote on
one
something?
at a time, please. Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
I appreciate it, Madam Chair. And I will point out, to the extent that anything is requested from us, we will always answer anything that is within our purview. If it's a request for records of the authority or things like that, we have always directed Commissioner Sanford to the director, which is the appropriate channel for requesting that information. Correct.
So I'd like to respond to
I'm
the
so
director,
sorry, there's
Madam
more
Chair.
children trying to get in the building.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make one comment, and I think the conversation is absolutely warranted, so I would love to continue it, but I don't know if it necessarily has anything to do with the vote that we're about to take, so I would just suggest we take the vote on the bills, and then we can most certainly get back into the conversation, just for,
Well,
kind of move the
So-
thing forward.
I still want to respond to what the director just said. What he said is completely untrue. I requested access to the list of RFQ respondents and their presentations back in the summer of last year, and I did not receive that information from the director.
Okay, and I think the director was very clear. Again, we're not gonna spend an hour back and forth with
Then I
this.
got one more
Because
question
we
for
do this,
council.
and as I stated, we are not going to go back and forth with this. What we're going to do now is vote on the resolution in front of us, which is the list of bills. And then you can go back to what you have to say, and as soon as you're done, I'd like to put something on on the floor as well.
So just for housekeeping purposes, Madam Chair, I believe there is a motion on the floor to amend the list of bills.
So is
Motion
there-
by Commissioner Sanford that has not been addressed yet.
Okay, so is there a second to amend the bills? No, so the motion fails. Can we move forward?
So now the matter before you is the resolution as presented.
Correct, can we move forward with the
Anthony
next?
Forbes.
Who's the first and the second, I'm sorry? Okay, sorry.
Anthony Forbes,
Yes.
Andrew Impastato,
Yes.
Aaron Lewitt. Yes. Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Michael Russo. James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Okay. So, Mr. Sanford, I'm gonna give you the floor again.
Thank you. So, council,
Yes, Commissioner.
prior to the censure, I requested of council the authority's contract with your law firm. Are you aware of those email in writing requests?
Yes.
Why have I not been given your firm's contract with this authority?
Because that is a request that I believe should appropriately be made through the director and the authority. Essentially, that is a request for,
Is the contract with the authority or with the director?
the contract is with the authority.
Okay. So, we are the Board of Commissioners that approve that contract. As a commissioner, I am one of the clients represented by you as counsel.
I would disagree with the fact that you would be the client. The authority itself is the client.
And the Board of Commissioners? What
You
is the
are one
relationship?
member, one voting member of the Board of Commissioners, but the board itself is our client.
So, the board itself is then the client.
Mhm.
I make a motion amongst this board that the board to release the contract for legal services to Commissioner Sanford.
Sure, so there's another motion on the floor. Is there anyone who would like to second it? No one would like to second it. Motion fails. Can we move on?
So why are your legal services, your contract, being denied to this commission?
At least on our end, Commissioner, nothing is being
No.
denied to you.
I-
Excuse me, Commissioner, you asked a question. Can you please
And you
let
just
me?
answered it.
Can you please let me finish my answer? You've requested something from us that is a record of the authority. That record is maintained by the secretary and contracting officer of the authority, which is Director Recco. So that request should appropriately go through Director Recco, which we have told you numerous times.
Yeah, numerous times.
To my
over the last 2
understanding,
years.
that request has not been made of Director Recco. It's been made of several members of his staff, but it has not been made, to my knowledge, in writing to Director Recco. And I believe you were told at the last meeting that about a week was a reasonable time period, and any request for documentation that you had for, particularly in that instance, you asked about contract documents, if they were made to Mr. Recco, they would be responded to within about a week.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, after that meeting, no such request for our contract was made. Prior to that meeting, no such request of Director Recco was made in writing.
Well, for the record, I decided not to put out that request because I did not want to interfere with anybody's holidays, and I also knew that we had a conference during the first week of January. So you can expect that request in writing, which is a brand-new activity that is being required of this commissioner, because over 13 years of being a commissioner, I have never had to go through all these bells and whistles and jump through hoops to get this information. And there was a point in time where the director would just give me the information. Even if I requested it at a meeting, I did not have to put it in writing, and I'm concerned why I have to put everything in writing now. But back to the list of bills, legal services, and your contract, okay? I assert, as a member of this board, as a commissioner, that I have every right to review the list of bills, to understand the billing and the contract. That is why I want.
And I don't challenge that at all. I totally agree with that,
Okay.
Commissioner, and
Then
that's
I
why
would-
we provide detailed list of bills every time we bill, which is usually monthly. Sometimes it's less frequent. In this case, it was 2 months. And we've provided that detailed list of bills on every invoice we've issued to the authority in the almost 9 years that we've been of service to the authority.
Then I would just like to repeat the motion to release.
We have a motion on the floor to release the information that Commissioner Sanford is requesting. Is there a second on the floor? There is not. Your motion fails. Council, I have a question for you. So the honest truth is that this actually takes up a lot of our time while we're at this meeting, right? Do I have the right to put a resolution in front of the board concerning something like this that I just thought of? And I don't know if I may have my colleagues backing or not. Is that something that I can do? I just...
Make a motion from the floor.
Yeah.
You can make any motion from the floor. I'm not sure what you mean about specifically have the right, but...
So I think we're going back and forth where Commissioner Sanford has been asked repeatedly through the meetings that we've had, and I know we're speaking specifically last month, but I can say maybe the last 6 months, has been asked numerous times, please put your request directly into the director, and give him a certain amount of time to get the information back. Obviously, that has not happened. So if my concern is that we come here and it's like we're going over and over and over again what we've been going through at the 6 months. So I would like to put a resolution on the board to ask every commissioner that would like to obtain any information, they must send it to the director of the Housing Authority, first of all, not any of his employees at all. It goes through the director, and that he is given at least 14 days to respond. If I would like to put that on the floor, if I have a motion. A second.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll second that.
Motion. Can we call the vote?
Wait,
on something?
discussion on that motion.
Sure. And this is for let's make sure that we understand, this is not for one or another commissioner, this is for every single commissioner here, okay?
So, at the last meeting, when I was asking the director when he could provide the information, the director replied, 1 week. Why are you now increasing it to 2 weeks?
Because I think it's only fair. I don't know if you realize the amount of time that not only the director, but the staff that sits here puts into the Housing Authority. And I can relate. I live there, so I see it. So I know how much time how every day they go in. I'm pretty sure this happens. They go in with their mindset that I'm going to work on this today, and you get into the office, and it's just not what happens. Because we have 1,000 things going on outside of the Housing Authority that then they have to tackle. So if we really want to be logistical and be appropriate and give the director and the staff the appropriate time, because when we're requesting something from the director, I'm pretty sure the director is privy to all the information, but he doesn't have it on his desk because we just happen to ask for it. So he then requests whoever is responsible for that information to get it to him. And he'll review it before he sends it out, correct? Wrong. So I think 14 days with everything that the Housing Authority goes through, and I have both directors here who I'm pretty sure understand what I'm saying, the Director of Management and Director Recco, I think 14 days is reasonable. Oprah says 30, so I think we cut it in half.
So that's a lovely thought, but whether it's 1 day, 1 week, or 2 weeks, the director and the staff are not providing information to me.
Well, you're not requesting it appropriately. You come here, you come here, you're not.
Requesting it appropriately. I have put it in writing. I have put it on the record during public meetings.
You put it in writing to everyone except the director, as he asked you to in several meetings. So after this meeting this month, I just want to make sure that, and I hope everybody agrees, I don't think we should go back to the same thing that we've been going through. You are now asked once again that if you'd like the information, provide it to the director in writing with a list of everything that you would like. And I'm asking now, I have a resolution on the floor, or a motion on the floor, that we give him 14 days to provide that to you.
And we are in discussion.
Sure, Commissioner Sanford, Commissioner Russo, you can have the floor now.
I just don't understand what the difficulty is to, I'm assuming most of your requests have been in email. I don't think you wrote out a letter and mailed it through snail mail. I'm assuming it's through email. Copying the director on that email, I don't understand what that why that's so difficult for you as a commissioner to ask our executive director for the information that you're requesting. I mean, I'll give you an example at the city, right? When I request information, I allow for an appropriate amount of time. I ask the city for all the information associated with our recreation programs. I mean, all the information, the budgeting, all of it, who works in those programs, what they're doing. I'm waiting 6 months for that, right? But that's an appropriate amount of time for that request. I didn't ask a very simple question that could be answered in an immediate reply. So I think having a set standard is not such a bad idea. In some instances, 14 days may be a very short amount of time in a situation like I just described. So that's two things. One, the request would have to be appropriate and the reply would have to be appropriate to that request, right? And then adding a second email to something that you are about to send out anyway, for me, I don't understand it. So please enlighten me and let me know why copying the director is such a difficult thing for you.
I really feel.
Absolutely, I will agree. May I respond?
Commissioner, I'm speaking. Councilman Russo, Commissioner Russo, the whole purpose of this is I want to eliminate the commissioners going to the staff. There is no reason for us to go directly to the staff. We do not oversee the Hoboken Housing Authority staff. The director sees the staff and oversees the staff. Any request that is needed should go directly through the director, period. And the director will then approach his staff, his appropriate staff, to obtain whatever information is requested. I just don't feel, because I think this is where we're falling into these issues. There's emails going to everyone else. The director's probably the last one to find out after the emails are continuously happening. And this is why we're sitting here, right? So our job as commissioners, and if we all did our classes, we're very well aware that we oversee the director, we do not oversee the employees. Every request should go through the director, period.
That's it?
That's it. Is that okay with you, Director?
That's fine. I would like to make sure that it's worded such that that I would have to respond to that email within 14 days.
So
Because if there is something that took 21 days,
Yeah, I agree
would
with
give
that
a response.
wholeheartedly.
Let's say this is going to take a couple days longer.
So Matt, is there any way we could word that somehow so we can put it on the record and then call the vote if there's a second? Well, I think I have a second, a first and a second.
I would like to respond to Commissioner Russo first.
Sure, Director Sanford, Commissioner Sanford.
So, my communication with the director, my emails to the director are not done within a vacuum. There is context. I've been on this board for almost 13 years, and I didn't interrupt you. I'm trying to answer Commissioner Russo. There was a point in time where if I requested information...
We're in a new point in time with changes being made.
I did not interrupt you.
Okay, well, I want to move forward. I have given you the floor for over 30 minutes, so this is, go ahead. Go ahead.
So...
Oh, I can.
There was a time where I would simply ask the director a question, ask for information, and there was none of this 1 week time frame. The information would just be
Times have changed.
Times have changed, haven't
Yes,
they?
they
And I'm
have.
trying to understand when those times have changed.
It doesn't matter what they change, there's procedures and protocols that have changed. But go ahead, I have given you the floor.
You're not letting me answer. To answer Commissioner Russo, I have, over the past year, sent multiple emails to the director. The director has ignored those emails, those written requests. Once the director stopped replying to me, started ignoring those communications, I then did the next logical thing, which is to address them with staff, who, over the last 13 years, I have also gotten to know, have reached out to directly, and there was absolutely nothing
And I
wrong
think that's the
with
problem,
doing
that we got too comfortable
Now-
with actually speaking directly to the staff, which should have never happened, because as commissioners,
Now,
we
wait,
do
I'm
not
done.
oversee the staff.
I'm not done. To answer both
Okay, you're
Commissioner
answering.
Russo and the chair, it is absolutely essential that the commissioners be able to communicate with
With the
staff
director.
and with the director.
No, we don't need to
No,
connect, we
listen.
do not need to communicate with the
Absolutely,
staff, absolutely not.
Because if,
I absolutely do
because
not
if
think
you
so.
have your way and everything goes through the executive director, then I guarantee you that Carmelo Garcia would still be the executive director of this housing authority, because that is exactly the
Are you, and
rule
this is the
that we
problem.
put in place.
This is why we have new times and changes in place. And I'm not gonna
The new
continue
times
to
are a lot
get-
like the old times.
Okay, if that's what you think, that's your opinion. I think I've seen a lot of change. I think the board who's been here and have actually done things for the residents, I also believe the same thing. And unfortunately, you keep dwelling on the past. The past is the past. It's a shame that you continuously bring up something that happened. It happened, it's over with. I don't even know why we're still speaking about it.
Shouldn't be speaking.
We shouldn't even be speaking about
Absolutely
it.
speaking
But,
about
no, we should not. Why should we?
Madam Chair, may I have to say
Go
something?
ahead.
Commissioner Sandberg, you were in the room with me in San Diego because I saw you in the front. And you were in the room when they gave the training on the executive director. And you were in the room when they told everybody in that room, you are the oversight. The executive director is in charge. You are not to talk to staff. They said it out loud in California. I could get it on a videotape. They were very clear of what the board does. They were very clear what our responsibilities are. You are responsible for the executive director. They are responsible for everybody else. You are responsible for the oversight as a whole. And in fact, our board is doing very well. We get reports, we get oversights, we get meetings, notes. We
You
get
chose not to be part of
we get
committees.
so
You
many
retain a
different
lot of
things that
information.
other cohorts that when I was there talking, people do not get. We get all the information and then some. So I'm very proud of the executive director and the team for just giving the information. We very rarely have to ask. If we have to tweak, they're happy to do it. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But you were in the room when they said this. So you can't tell me that you were not there when they said the executive director is the boss. Whatever they say goes. If there are problems, if you have to fire them, if you have to do some corrective behavior, yes, then that comes in. But on the day-to-day, if everything's going well, they're the boss. That's it. Final line.
Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, I was in the room. This is how I know. You never actually spoke to the guy. But then I walked up to him, I asked him a few questions, and he thinks that I should do what I'm doing, which is to ask questions. That is job number one of a commissioner, which is to ask questions. And when this commissioner asks questions, whether it be of the director or of the staff,
You can't ask the staff.
I have been shut down. I
But
have
you
been
shouldn't
asking
be asking the
staff
staff.
questions for years.
Exactly. Times have changed, protocols have changed,
Yeah.
new things have been put in place, and I'm
To
sorry,
stonewall this
and I'm
commission.
so sorry that you don't get the information that you want. And I know you're saying, well, you know, the director
You're not
didn't
sorry
answer
at all.
my emails.
You're not
Do you
sorry at
know?
all.
No, I am because I'm sorry that you feel that it's only you. Do you know how many emails I probably have sent to the executive director that have gone unanswered? But you know what I do? I pick up the phone and I call the director and say, Director, I sent you an email. Did you have a chance to look at it? When you do, can you please get back to me? Director, have I or have I not done that to you?
And then I look and I get back.
It's that simple, but unfortunately, when you don't want to open your line of communication, you come here and you put on a show like you honestly care about what's going on here or our residents. You refuse to participate in any committee to obtain any information that you can get, and then you want us to spend an hour on your nonsense because it's nonsense. We hear from you today and we don't hear from you till next month, and that's the honest truth. So I close this now.
Madam Chair, if you have such a cozy relationship with the director, that's great. But the
I don't
director
have-
is not answering my questions.
I
even when I'm-
disagree totally. I have not gotten those emails from them.
Stanford, you refuse to communicate with anyone on this board. So if you expect me to believe that you picked up the phone and contacted the director, it's pure nonsense. You used to. Thank you very much. Thank you for putting it on the record. So, Matt, can we move forward with what I placed on the floor? And as the director asked, could we just make it formal so we can have a vote?
So the matter before you, Madam Chair, is there was a motion and a second for a resolution to adopt a policy whereby any requests for information from the authority by individual commissioners would go through the director. And I believe it was with a 14-day period for the director to respond.
And we would like to add, as long as the director responds, correct?
Well,
A response.
response.
And I will point out to you, I know there was a mention of Oprah, not that you have to track Oprah exactly, but as the commissioner pointed out, the first thing is Oprah is 7 business days, and it leaves open the provision depending upon the request. That leaves open the ability for the custodian of the records, which in this case would be the director, to go back and say, well, this is a relatively time-intensive request in order to be able to respond to that, and we expect to have a response to you by X date. And that could be an extra week, it could be 6 months, as the commissioner alluded to.
So my question is, you're saying that
so-
it's 7 days, but doesn't the city have 30 days for Oprah?
No, Oprah request
Seven
is a
business
response within 7 business days.
A response?
Yeah.
Right,
Okay,
and,
so
and
response-
sometimes that response is, that's gonna take more time.
Time,
Yeah.
okay.
So what I was gonna say is, in terms of the time, the number of days for the initial response, I'll leave that up to you. But I think it would be reasonable to track Oprah to a certain extent with respect to the possibility that the initial response is, that's gonna take me more time, and a response to the commissioner, here's when I expect to have that response to you. So I think that would be
So
reasonable.
Our commissioner response is going to be geared towards Oprah requirements
But
now?
everything has to go through.
Is that's what I'm getting.
It's up to the board. I'm just recommending in terms of the size of the request that it might not be the worst idea to track Oprah in terms of that specific language.
So we can do, Director, because obviously this is actually going to affect you more than anyone else. If we were to switch it to the 7 days with a response within the 7 days, but obviously the response could actually say, well, Commissioner Reyes, you can't get it for another 30 days. I'll be working on it. Would that be something feasible?
Well, possibly, but I don't see anything wrong with the resolution as was just stated by council.
Okay.
That I get 14 days to respond and my response. And if it's going to take longer, it would take
Okay,
longer.
so
That's not-
we can keep it like that. What I
Last week
do
you said
want to emphasize
At the last meeting, you
is
said
that,
7 days.
what I would like to emphasize is that I need this resolution to state that anything requested from any commissioner on this board must go through the executive director. In the event that the executive director is not there, I know Frank oversees, so I don't know how that would work, I guess. But for right now, for the resolution purpose, it would go directly through the executive director and no other staff member.
And I'll point out, Madam Chair, that you would have a couple options. You could consider this resolution today, you could wait until next month. You also have the ability at any time to amend whatever policy you adopt.
So I would
If you
like to
amend
take a vote on
something
this.
today and you decide it's not working, you could amend that at a future meeting, whenever that is.
So can we do that? Can we take a vote on it today, as the director stated, so 14 days within his reply, and all communication has to go directly through the director?
And, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if I could, you also could adopt it today, and then if you want to make sure you fine tune the language, you could ratify it at a future meeting.
Okay,
If you're more comfortable with that.
can we do that today, and then, if we need to change anything, then, we can ratify it later on at another meeting? Would that be okay? Okay. So as, Matt, do you want to say the entire resolution before we vote on it? Because I know
I'll give
there's
it
a
to you
lot of back and
as I understand
Sure.
what's being considered. So it would be a policy that any request for information, is that how you want it?
Any type of information, any request.
Any request
pertaining to housing
for information pertaining to housing authority business would be required to go through the executive director, and the executive director would have 14 calendar days? Business days? What your preference is, what your...
I say business day.
Business days, right? I would say that's
14 business days to respond to that request, and to the extent that the response would reasonably take more than 14 business days for the substance, then the response from the director would be to reply to the commissioner with a time period in which the commissioner could expect that response.
Correct.
Does that work?
That works for me. Does that work for you guys?
That works.
Okay.
Let's just do it.
Okay, so motion.
We have a motion.
We
So
have
there's a motion and a second.
Okay, so can you call the vote, Director?
Anthony Forbes.
Before I respond, I think 14 days is more than enough time. I just got a request from the Food Bank of New Jersey. They want our attendance for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the last 6 months. And they're giving me 30 days. So I think 14 days is sufficient enough to get information out. So yes.
Thank you.
So what was your vote?
Yes. It was in there. It was in there. We missed the whole vote.
He has to email that directly to the director.
Yeah, that's the email to the email.
I have a question for council.
I think we're ready. I think we're in the middle of the vote.
Council?
Andrew Impastato,
Council.
Aaron Lewis.
What happens if information
We
that
are
is
in the
requested-
middle of a vote,
I have a
Commissioner
question for
Sanford. Okay, well, if discussions were over, we were on this for 30
Was there a
minutes.
motion to end discussion? No, there wasn't.
We
So,
never
We
motioned.
both never motioned,
Okay.
so we will
Might as
move
well
on with
start.
the vote,
So,
Director.
council, what happens if information is
Commissioner
requested that is related to a matter that will be voted upon
He
by
said
the
yes,
board?
Director.
That does not get there to the
Director, can you
commissioner
call the
within
next
14
person? He
days?
said yes, do it.
Aaron Lewitt,
Aaron said yes.
Barbara Reyes,
Yes.
Michael
Maggie, I'm gonna ask you
Russo,
not to answer that this moment.
James Sanford,
No.
Erica
Yes.
Seitzman.
Yes.
So the resolution has passed. We can now move on to resolution number
Nope, I asked a
2024.
question of council.
Oh, what
want
I, as
council
the
to
chair,
answer.
have asked that we move forward with the meeting, and Commissioner Sanford, if you're gonna continue to interrupt, I have no problem asking you to be removed from the meeting.
Go
Okay.
ahead and do it.
Okay,
Council.
so go ahead and
Council,
keep.
what happens when a request
Resolution
for
number
information
2024
that a commissioner needs
0103.
to vote upon a
This is point of
resolution?
order. Commissioner Sanford, I have the chairwoman speaking. I can only take one person at a time.
Correct.
So resolution number
Love you.
2024-0103, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to participate in a cooperative purchasing program.
Motion.
Any discussion? No discussion, could we call a vote?
Anthony Forbes,
Yes.
Andrew Impastato.
Yes.
Aaron Lewitt. Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes. Resolution number 2024-104, resolution of the Hoboken Housing Authority to reject all bids for Harrison Gardens physical security enhancement.
Motion. Second.
Question. Council. Using this resolution as an example, hypothetically, if I were to request information on this resolution of the director, 11 days, or not within the 2 weeks, and I
We
don't
are
get
not
that
going back to
information.
this.
I don't get that, I have I'm trying to ask a question to council, Madam Chair.
It has nothing to do with
And I am
this.
trying to get that information
This is
before
pertaining to
voting
the last
on
resolution, and I'm asking you not to answer it because we're moving forward. Call the vote, please,
Council.
Director.
Are you going to answer my question?
Director, call the vote.
The chair, whoever that is, presides over the meeting. The chair has asked you to move on. This is not a question that sounds like
Pertaining
it
to
is
this
relevant to
resolution.
this resolution.
Anthony Forbes,
Yes.
Andrew Impastato.
Yes.
Aaron Lewitt. Yes. Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-105, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to reject a contract for Harrison Guardian interior stairwell renovation.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Question? Director, call
Oh,
the vote.
Anthony Forbes,
Yes.
Andrew Impastato,
Yes.
Aaron Lewitt. Yes. Barbara Reyes.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Aye.
James Sanford.
No.
Erica Seitzman.
Yes.
Motion to close.
Motion to
I'll
close.
have one fast.
Sure, I'm sorry. Erica would like
No,
to.
it's just very important, we have a resident who is in need of a kidney. And you might have seen on social media, I believe the Housing Authority shared it, I know Barbara has shared, I have shared. So please keep on the lookout if you know of anybody. There are lots of generous people out there. I'm praying for her. Hopefully that you will be able to find a kidney donor.
Erica, could you share that again and tag at least me and anyone else?
Yes, I shared.
So I can make sure I share it.
I will absolutely do
Yeah,
that.
please.
Thank you so much.
And the housing authority,
To the director.
actually, if you go on the web, on social media, under the Hoboken Housing Authority, it is on our social media, it was actually put on there, so I think you guys can share it from there as well.
You only have 14 days. though.
So motion to close, all in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.